Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, today we're going to cover two topics. First thing we're going to talk about is the REDHAWK Haversack. This is one we've been talking about that's got the snaps and the two zippers inside of it. The two zipper compartments that you've been seeing me talk about. I have both the wax canvas, like all my other stuff, and my niece Trinity will also be making, oh, it's a good snap right there. She'll be making a Cordura version of it in Ranger Green that will also have the same features, except the strap is going to be a wide nylon strap with a buckle instead of the double D rings of the wax one. Okay. We're going to do a limited run of these. I've got enough people that have asked, so we're going to do a limited run. The price for either one is going to be $100. Okay? That will cover shipping within the United States. If you're interested in the Cordura one, see, I've learned. I didn't say Cordura. Cordura. Trinity grilled me on it, maybe repeat it over and over again last time we were together. It's Cordura. Okay, Cordura. If you're interested in the Cordura one, then look down in the description and you'll see Cordura, and that's Trinity's site. That's where you go get that. There's only going to be a run of 20 with those. Okay. As far as the wax canvas, we're going to do 25 of those. Same price for either one, and down in the description box you'll see where it says if you want to sign up for that, and I'll send you information. We will take the orders now. We will be shipping in late September, okay, between now and September. Trinity may get earlier because she's going to be making them, and if she makes them, she'll ship them out. Whereas I'm having these made, the wax canvas are being made by Jay in West Virginia, and they've got to come to me, then ship to you. So we got to cover them times. You understand what I'm saying? But that's where we're going. A lot of you have been asking me about when's the REDHAWK coming out. You teased and stuff. I'm ready to see it. There it is. Okay, she's out. Now, let's talk about the second thing we're going to talk about today, and that's about processing fatwood to make handles or something like that. Okay? Let's talk about this for a second. This is a fatwood core. What that means is this is the inside of a pine tree that probably died during the summer. All of the sap fermented inside of it in form of what we call fatwood, fat lighter. I call it fat lighter, but fatwood to my northern friends. It's a form of pine down here that does this. And down here in the south we have an overabundance of it because our summers are very long and hot, and we have a lot of pine trees. And if a pine tree is in the beginning of the summer and it dies and it remains standing, all that sap congeals in the heat and just kind of cooks it. And you get this stuff. This is the stuff that you see where you do a little shaving and you hit it with a spark and you got flame. It can be underwater for 20 years and you can pull it out and shake the water off of it and put a match to it and it goes to burning. That's it. It's turpentine. This is how we get turpentine. Okay? Now this is a core. As you can see, it's just part of a tree that whenever the tree finally died and etc. and it splintered off, made this long, thick piece. And you can see all these little jagged splinters. You got to be careful around these things. Now what I've done is I've taken my saw and I've cut off the end, a block of it, about that size. This is very useful to us because it can be used for several things. Like you see right there, there's been made into the handle part for a Ferum Rod. That does two things. One, gives me a nice big block to get a grip on, so I can really bear down and get sparks. And two, in a crisis situation, it's tender. I can take my knife and shave off of this block and make a burnable tinder for that Ferum Rod to ignite. So it does two things at once. And I've had several people ask me, say, Blackie, I want to do that, but I can't find a big enough piece. What you're looking for is either a big stump that you're going to split off something large. I mean, something like this. Okay? You can sand it and get it down smooth, like that handle is. you can shape it, but you can see like those, I don't know if you can see them right, but the growth rings and that is real nice and tight. Right, and that, ooh, that smell. Love that smell. Well, that will burn very easily. So if I was going to make a handle for a ferro rod with this, what I would do is I would pick the size, the final size I'm going to need, and I'm going to shape this block into it. Then you want to drill a hole in it and put that ferro rod into it. But the ferro rod material is by nature soft, okay? So what you want to do is you want to take the end of that ferro rod that's going to be going inside of this and take a file and rough it up, cut V's in it, make it textured, make it look kind of like a horseshoe rasp. It needs teeth, okay? So when you put epoxy down in that hole and you set it into it, it's got something to grip. Even really good epoxy is trying to grip a slippery pole, basically, like greasing a light pole and trying to climb it. Nothing can grip that ferro rod because it's so soft. It wants to let go, slide off. So I need teeth, see? So I want to make a hole in there, put it in there at least a 1/2 inch. 3/4 of an inch would be even better. So get a longer rod and get it the length you want. And then turn it into this and make your own. Now whenever I'm processing this stuff, like I said, a standard, Suki saw, cut this no problem. The outside of it, like this piece, you see with those deep grooves and stuff, I want to cut that off. I want to smooth this out. Now I can take a saw and just cut it to final shape. Or I can scrape this down to shape with my knife, my whatever. In doing so, there's something else you can get out of this. And what you want to do is take a piece of, I like to use aluminum foil. Lay down a piece of aluminum foil and then take a good 90-degree edge, like the back of my silky saw right here, and start shaving it. As I'm doing that, let those shavings get caught in that aluminum foil, because they burn just as well too. So I'm generating Maya dust. And scrape it down or sand it down or whittle it down till you get the size you want. Now, speaking of whittling a block of this down to shape, making long, thin slivers like that. Those are very, very useful. We don't want to waste them. So by taking a tin, now this is a produced item that I had picked up at one of the events. There's a name right there. I'm sorry, I ain't got my glasses on. But what it is, they call it Maya dust. Now all Maya dust is that right there. All that is where someone has taken a hunk of fatwood like that and shaped it. Either sawing it and caught the sawdust, scraped it, chipped it, used a horseshoe file on it, whatever, and created these dusts. Now this will dry out relatively quickly, like in a matter of a couple of weeks, unless you put it in something that seals up good. Because the volatile oils that are in this will dry, evaporate out, and become less effective. So if you got a buddy that does tobacco tins, these are great for this. The lids seal up fairly well, good capacity, see. So take that piece of aluminum foil, take your knife, and shape it, sand it, whatever, and save those, okay? Then put them into one of these tobacco tins or something similar that I can snap it closed. Even more security, run a lip of electrical tape around that, seal it up, and then up here on the top, write down tinder or something, and put it into your fire kit. Put it in the glove box of your vehicle, whatever, to have as an emergency source. Because this stuff is worth its weight in gold on cold, wet, nasty days. Let me tell you, because you know it's going to burn, and it's going to burn hot, and it's going to make a lot of smoke, acrid smoke, but it's going to generate a lot of heat. And that is what we need on cold, wet days, especially when everything is dry. Everything is wet, all your tinder's a little bit damp, the air and humidity is so bad. This generates a very hot fire. When you read about the northern explorers, and they talked about, especially up in the edge of Canada, they talked about a bright fire and using pine knots. And that's where the short stubby limb coming off of a big pine that's died and the sap is collected at the base, they would knock those free and have a single hunk, and they'd stack them up in the fire pit. That was to generate a lot of heat and a lot of light. So you didn't cook on them because it make your food taste funny and wouldn't be necessarily good for you. But for generating a lot of heat and light, pine knots, see, a bright fire. Well, by taking this and now shaving this into the shape I want, I'm going to make a handle, right? Well, then all those shavings are valuable to me as well. And I can put them in that tin and save them. So, what you need to look for. One, if you're somewhere down here in the south, and you got pine forests like we do, go walking around at the end of summer, especially after heavy storms, and look for something like this. Now this has been outside for 2 years, outside my house. It has been rained on, it has been cold, it has been whatever. You still, I mean, look at that. It keeps it, the outside dries out. You get those little bitty splinters and stuff. But the core stays. So therefore I can cut off of this. This will be probably 10 years worth of fatwood for me to cut in blocks like that to put into my tinder kit, etc. So you don't have to store it real daintily or anything like that. I prefer to live mine outside and let it get wet, let it whatever. It seems to concentrate it even more into the core, you know, because when I cut that in just a minute ago, it was wet. It was actually wet from it, from those saps and stuff in it. And that's been cut probably 3 years, and it's been with me 2 years, at least. So, what else could you make this stuff into? Well, if I cut it into like 1 inch thick pieces, like a poker chip, and put that into one of those hockey pucks, one of those tobacco pucks like that, actually cut a couple of pieces to fit down in there, that would be something that wouldn't dry out easy because of being here, and in emergency I could bring it out and have fresh hot shavings to utilize. I could make knife handles out of it, but it's hard to scrape a knife handle with its own blade, you know what I mean? You have to have a second. So I'm putting it onto a tool maybe. I can simply use it as a tool handle of something. I can make it as a grip onto something. There's lots of uses for this, and it don't rot. You know, it is a fire hazard, so to speak. Don't get it next to the fire. So don't make it into something that's going to be close to the fire. But I've seen these made into buttons, into toggles. I've seen them cut into squares and then, into rounds, and then cut with designs into them to be decorative on a pouch, on a haversack as a closure. There's 1,001 uses for it. All it is a piece of pine that is unusually hard because that resin has acted like epoxy. And whereas something this size out of pure sugar pine would weigh a couple of ounces, this weighs like 6 or 7 ounces, like not quite the weight of a Coke can, like 6-8 ounces. But it's heavy, and that's one of the big giveaways to you when you're looking for pine. You know, so it can be used for many different things. It as a fire source, it as decoration, it as an anti-bug, because them shavings, bugs don't like that smell. Nothing eats them. I can make it into the handle on a fire rod. I could make it into the handle on a pocket knife, you know, or some other tool. You should have a hunk in your fire kit, a long stick that I can make long splinters out of. Now remember my video where I talked about fire trick nobody knows? And I took something like this and I split off like a 6, 8 inch, 10 inch sliver off of it. Okay, it's going to be, you know, like this that I just snapped off. See that? Okay, it's been raining like crazy, and your tender bundle that you just gathered up is damp. You know, I can take this, shave it to get down to the good all the way around, put those shavings around the base, and stick this in the ground. Okay, Then strike my fire and start that, and the fire will wick up this and become a long torch with 8, 10, 12 inches of flame coming off this thing. That's what I hold my tinder bundle in the actual flame up here, and let it heat it and dry out. Rather than just sitting sideways and letting it be a little bit, I turn it lengthways and let that fire run up it to make a long flame, a long match. And then when I hold my tinder bundle in here and rotate it, it's got time to dry it out and get it burning. See, in really bad wet conditions, I have gathered up 2 and 3 tinder bundles before, and got up under my place. I'm going to build my fire as much shade as I could. Done this trick of the long match, and then held one tinder bundle up there till it got going, laid it down, put sticks on it to get going, and grabbed the other tinder bundle and put it back into this, and then put it on top and layered it up to get a self-sustaining fire going. Something like this makes your life so much easier. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And down there in the description box, again, will be the information if you've been wanting one of the new Haversacks, either in Cordura or in wax canvas. It'll be down there. It's been raining and thundering all day. I had a different plan for today to do this video, but praise the Lord, we got rain. We hadn't had rain in quite a while, and so I'm happy. I had to come out here on the back deck and use this, but I'm very happy for it. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I hope that you're safe. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.